In the winter of 2026, as the world turns its calendar to February, millions of Sagittarians across the globe will reach for their phones, their newspapers, their horoscope apps, searching for something that may have been written in the stars decades ago. A prediction, a promise, a prophecy spoken by a woman who claimed to see beyond the veil of time itself. Her name was Sylvia Browne, and if the whispers are to be believed, she foresaw something extraordinary waiting in the first week of February 2026. Something about money, vast sums of it, destined specifically for those born under the sign of the Archer. But before we chase shadows and predictions, before we ask whether the future can truly be known, we must first understand the woman who dared to claim she could see it. Sylvia Celeste Browne was born on October 19, 1936, in Kansas City, Missouri, into a world still reeling from the Great Depression. She grew up in a household where the paranormal was an aberration. It was a family business. Her grandmother, Ada Coyle, claimed psychic abilities, performing readings in their living room while young Sylvia watched, absorbing the cadence, the language, the performance of prophecy. By her own account, Sylvia's first vision came at age 3. She described seeing spirits, receiving messages from what she would later call the other side. Whether you believe this origin story or not, it became the foundation of a career that would span 6 decades and reach millions of seekers hungry for answers about love, death, and destiny. She wasn't always famous. For years, Sylvia worked as a schoolteacher in California, giving readings on the side. But in 1974, she founded the Nirvana Foundation for Psychic Research in Campbell, California, and began building what would become an empire of the esoteric. By the 1980s, she had published her first books. By the 1990s, she was appearing on radio shows, giving readings to callers desperate to contact deceased loved ones or glimpse their futures. Then came the Montel Williams Show. Starting in 1991, Sylvia became a regular fixture on daytime television, appearing weekly on Montel's program to deliver psychic readings to audience members and callers. For millions of Americans, Wednesday afternoons meant watching Sylvia. Dressed in flowing fabrics, her blonde hair style high, her voice authoritative and unwavering. Tell people things about themselves that seem impossible to know. She claimed to channel a spirit guide named Francine, an entity who had lived in the 1500s and now existed on the other side, feeding Sylvia information about past lives, future events, and the mysteries of existence. Her believers were legion. Her critics were equally numerous. Sylvia Browne was not a woman who dealt in maybes. She didn't hedge. She didn't equivocate. When she made a prediction, she stated it as fact, delivered with the certainty of someone reading from a script already written by the universe itself. She predicted earthquakes, political upheavals, technological breakthroughs. She claimed to know when and how people would die, what careers they should pursue, whether their missing loved ones were still alive. Some of her predictions came true, or seemed to, depending on how generously you interpreted them. Many did not. In 2004, she told the mother of missing teenager Amanda Berry that her daughter was dead. 3 years later, Amanda Berry was found alive, having been held captive. The incident became one of the most damning criticisms of Sylvia's career, yet her following barely wavered. This was the paradox of Sylvia Browne. She was simultaneously one of the most successful psychics in modern history, and one of the most controversial. She sold over 50 books. She charged upward of $700 for a phone reading. She built a spiritual organization called Novice Spiritus, complete with ministers trained in her specific theology, a blend of Christianity, mysticism, and her own cosmology involving life on other planets and multiple incarnations of the soul. And somewhere within this vast catalog of predictions, visions, and proclamations, there allegedly exists a prophecy about Sagittarius, about money, about the first week of February 2026. Finding the exact source of Sylvia Browne's alleged prediction about Sagittarians in February 2026 is like trying to trace a rumor through fog. It exists in fragments across the internet, in forum posts and social media shares, in listicles of Sylvia Browne's most shocking predictions. But pinning down the original text, the original book, or reading where she supposedly made this claim proves elusive. This is not unusual in the world of psychic predictions. They live in a strange ecosystem where oral tradition meets digital telephone, where a casual comment made in a reading 30 years ago can be reshaped, reinterpreted, and resurrected as prophecy. The prediction becomes a living thing, evolving with each retelling, gathering details it may never have originally possessed. What we do know is this: Sylvia made thousands of predictions over her lifetime. Many were recorded in her books, particularly volumes like Prophecy and End of Days, where she outlined her visions of humanity's future. She predicted specific years for technological advancements, climate events, even the discovery of ancient civilizations. She was never afraid to attach dates to her visions, a trait that made her either remarkably brave or remarkably reckless, depending on your perspective. In her worldview, astrology played a significant role. Sylvia wasn't a traditional astrologer in the Western sense, but she acknowledged the influence of celestial bodies on human destiny. She wrote about how certain signs would experience particular challenges or blessings during specific periods. The idea that she might have singled out Sagittarius for a financial windfall in early February 2026 fits the pattern of her predictive style. Sagittarius, the ninth sign of the zodiac, ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion, luck, and abundance. Those born between November 22nd and December 21st fall under this fire sign, characterized by optimism, adventurousness, and a philosophical bent. In astrological tradition, Sagittarians are seen as fortune's favorites, blessed with the ability to attract opportunity through their natural enthusiasm and risk-taking nature. If Sylvia did make such a prediction, she would have framed it within her understanding of cosmic cycles. Perhaps she saw a planetary alignment in February 2026. Perhaps her spirit guide Francine whispered of an energetic shift that would open financial doors specifically for those born under the Archer sign. Or perhaps the prediction is apocryphal, a creation of the internet age, where the desire for meaning meets the machinery of virality. But let's entertain the possibility that she did say it, that somewhere in a reading, a book, or a television appearance now lost to time or buried in archives, Sylvia Browne stated clearly that Sagittarians would experience significant financial gain in the first week of February 2026. What could she have meant? The language of psychic prediction is deliberately vague by nature. Huge money could mean anything from a lottery win to an unexpected inheritance, from a career breakthrough to a lucrative investment finally paying off. The beauty of such predictions and their danger is that they're elastic enough to fit almost any positive financial development. February 2026 is, as we speak, mere days away. The first week spans from February 1st through February 7th. If you're a Sagittarian listening to this, you might already be checking your bank account with more frequency than usual. You might be playing a lottery, or waiting for news about a promotion, or hoping that stock you bought years ago will suddenly surge. This is the power of prophecy. It doesn't just predict behavior, it shapes it. To understand why millions might take Sylvia Browne's predictions seriously, even years after her death in 2013, we must understand the human relationship with the future. We are a species haunted by tomorrow. Unlike any other creature on Earth, we possess the cognitive ability to project ourselves forward in time, to imagine scenarios that haven't happened, to worry about outcomes we cannot control. This gift of foresight is also a curse. It creates anxiety, uncertainty, the gnawing feeling that we're walking blind through a world of hidden dangers and missed opportunities. And the prophet, the psychic, the oracle, these figures have existed in every culture throughout recorded history. The oracle at Delphi in ancient Greece, where pilgrims traveled thousands of miles to ask the Pythia about wars and harvests. The I Ching in China, consulted for millennia to divine the flow of fortune. Nostradamus in Renaissance France, whose cryptic quatrains are still analyzed for predictions about modern events. Sylvia Browne was simply the latest iteration of this ancient archetype, updated for the age of television and telephone readings. She offered something humans desperately crave: certainty in an uncertain world. When she told someone they would find love, that person could stop agonizing over their loneliness and wait with hope. When she said money was coming, financial anxiety could be temporarily soothed by the promise of future abundance. When she claimed to contact the dead, grief could be softened by the belief that our loved ones persist beyond the veil. The psychological appeal is profound. Studies in behavioral psychology have shown that humans are wired to find patterns, even in randomness. We see faces in clouds, conspiracies in coincidences, meaning in chaos. A psychic's prediction provides a framework, a narrative structure to drape over the randomness of existence. And when predictions come true, or seem to, the effect is powerful. This is confirmation bias in action. We remember the hits and forget the misses. Sylvia Browne made thousands of predictions. Some inevitably align with reality, whether through chance, logical deduction, or genuine insight. Those successes become the stories people share, the evidence they cite, the reason they believe. But there's something else at work here, something more profound than simple pattern recognition. It's the concept of participatory prophecy. Consider this. If you're a Sagittarian who believes money is coming your way in February 2026, how might that belief change your behavior? You might take risks you otherwise wouldn't. You might invest in that business idea you've been sitting on. You might apply for a better job, ask for a raise, or simply approach opportunities with more confidence and openness. And if that changed behavior leads to financial success, was a prophecy true, or did it create its own truth? This is a philosopher's paradox of prediction. By believing in a future outcome, we may act in ways that bring that outcome into being. The prophecy becomes self-fulfilling not through supernatural foresight, but through psychological motivation. Sylvia Browne understood this dynamic, whether consciously or not. Her predictions were often empowering, encouraging people to believe in positive futures. In that sense, she wasn't just predicting the future. She was actively trying to shape it by changing how people thought about their potential. James Randi was a magician who dedicated much of his later life to debunking psychics, faith healers, and paranormal claims. He was Sylvia Browne's most persistent critic, documenting her failed predictions with methodical precision. He challenged her publicly to prove her abilities under controlled conditions, offering $1 million prize to anyone who could demonstrate genuine psychic powers. Sylvia agreed to the challenge on Larry King Live in 2001, but the test never materialized. According to Randi, she simply never followed through. Randi and other skeptics compiled lists of Sylvia's failed predictions. She said the cure for AIDS would be found in 2020. She predicted that a tsunami would hit San Francisco. She claimed Osama bin Laden would be captured in 2003. None of these came to pass as stated, yet her followers remained loyal. When confronted with failures, many explained them away. Perhaps she had seen an alternate timeline. Perhaps the prediction prevented the event from happening. Or perhaps the interpretation was wrong even if the vision was correct. This highlights a crucial aspect of psychic predictions. They exist in a realm beyond falsification. Unlike scientific hypotheses that can be definitively proven wrong, prophecies can always be reinterpreted, recontextualized, or excused. The goalpost moves. The timeline shifts. The meaning was metaphorical, not literal. From a purely statistical standpoint, the February 2026 prediction for Sagittarians faces the same scrutiny. Approximately 1/12 of the population are Sagittarians. That's roughly 650 million people worldwide. In any given week, some percentage of those people will experience positive financial events simply by chance. Raises, bonuses, successful sales, lucky breaks. If even a small fraction of Sagittarians experience financial gain in early February 2026, the prediction can be claimed as accurate. If most don't, believers can argue that huge money is relative, or that the gains are still coming but will manifest differently than expected, or that the prediction was never about literal currency, but about spiritual abundance. The skeptic sees an unfalsifiable claim. The believer sees mystery that transcends mundane proof. Both perspectives miss something essential, the human story at the center. Sylvia Browne died on November 20th, 2013, at the age of 77. She passed in a hospital in San Jose, California, from natural causes. Ironically, she had predicted she would die at age 88. In her final years, she was less visible than during her Montel Williams heyday. She had health issues. She was overweight, diabetic, and had suffered a heart attack in 2007. The woman who had appeared on television with such confidence and certainty seemed diminished by the same mortality she claimed to transcend through her connection with the other side. Her personal life was complicated. She married 3 times, divorced 3 times. She had 2 sons, one of whom, Christopher Dufresne, followed in her footsteps as a psychic. Her organization, Novice Beretus, continued after her death, though with significantly less prominence. Those who knew her personally described a woman of contradictions. She could be warm and generous, spending hours with grieving clients. She could also be imperious and demanding, running her organization with strict control. She lived lavishly, expensive homes, designer clothes, luxury travel, which critics pointed to as evidence that her real gift was for making money off believers, not seeing the future. But here's what's often lost in the debates about whether she was genuine or fraudulent. Sylvia Browne believed. By all accounts from those close to her, she genuinely believed in her abilities. She believed Francine was real. She believed she was helping people. This doesn't make her predictions accurate, but it complicates a narrative of the cynical charlatan deliberately deceiving the vulnerable. She was, perhaps, the most devoted believer in Sylvia Browne. In her theology, death wasn't an ending but a transition. The soul returned home to the other side, reviewed its life, rested, and eventually chose to incarnate again to learn new lessons. She believed she had lived many lives before this one, as a Viking, as a Native American, as a Spanish noblewoman. If her beliefs were true, then Sylvia is now on that other side she spoke of so often. And perhaps from that vantage point, she can see whether her prediction about Sagittarius in February 2026 will come to pass. Or perhaps there is no other side. Perhaps Sylvia Browne was simply a woman with a gift for reading people, for cold reading cues and crafting narratives that resonated with what people wanted to hear. Perhaps she was brilliant at the very human art of storytelling, of creating meaning where there was only coincidence. Either way, her legacy persists. Her books still sell. Her predictions still circulate. And in early February 2026, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions, of Sagittarians will be watching their lives with heightened attention, looking for signs of the windfall she may or may not have predicted. So here we are. The first week of February 2026 approaches. The calendar page turns. The clock ticks forward. If you're a Sagittarian, what should you do with this information? The practical mind says, nothing. Live your life as you would anyway. Don't make reckless financial decisions based on prediction that may not exist in any verifiable form. Don't quit your job expecting a windfall. Don't invest your savings in risky ventures because a psychic who died 13 years ago allegedly saw abundance in your future. But the dreamer, the part of us that still believes in magic even when the rational mind knows better, says something different. It says, pay attention, be open. Opportunity often arrives disguised as ordinary moments. The lucky break looks like luck only in retrospect. In the moment, it's a choice, a conversation, a risk taken. Maybe Sylvia Browne's real gift wasn't seeing the future, but encouraging people to believe they deserve good things. Maybe her predictions worked not because she could pierce the veil of time, but because she gave people permission to hope, to try, to remain open to possibility. There's a concept in quantum physics called the observer effect, the idea that the act of observation changes what is being observed. While this is often misunderstood and misapplied to human consciousness, there's a metaphorical truth here. What we pay attention to shapes our reality, not in a mystical sense, but in a practical one. If Sagittarians spend the first week of February 2026 actively looking for financial opportunities, being more alert to possibilities, approaching their work with renewed energy and confidence, some of them will undoubtedly experience positive outcomes. Not because the stars align, but because attention and intention have real effects on behavior and decision-making. Is that prophecy fulfilled or simply psychology at work? Perhaps the distinction doesn't matter. Consider the person who has been struggling financially for years, living paycheck to paycheck, weighed down by the belief that their situation will never change. Then they hear about Sylvia Browne's prediction. For the first time in months, they feel a spark of hope. They update their resume. They network more actively. They take a chance on a new project. And something good happens. Maybe not huge money in the lottery winning sense, but a raise, a new client, an unexpected tax refund. To that person, the prediction came true. It gave them the psychological boost they needed to break out of a pattern of learned helplessness. Was Sylvia Browne a prophet or a motivational speaker? in mystics' clothing. Again, perhaps it doesn't matter. The human hunger for meaning, for pattern, for some sense that our lives are guided by forces beyond random chance. This hunger is real and powerful. It drives us to create religions, to consult oracles, to read horoscopes, to find significance in synchronicities. Sylvia Browne fed that hunger, whether she did so with genuine supernatural ability or with a deep understanding of human psychology and masterful cold reading skills, is ultimately less important than the effect she had on people's lives. Some were harmed by her predictions. Families of missing persons given false hope or false closure. People who made poor decisions based on her advice. These harms are real and shouldn't be dismissed. But others found comfort, motivation, and meaning through her work. They felt seen, understood, connected to something larger than themselves. These benefits are also real. In a few days, the first week of February 2026 will begin. Sagittarians around the world will live through those 7 days. Some will experience financial gains. They do in every week of every year. Some will experience financial setbacks. Most will experience something in between, the ordinary flow of money in and money out that characterizes most human existence. And the prediction, Sylvia Browne's alleged vision of huge money for Sagittarius, will be both confirmed and denied, believed and dismissed, remembered and forgotten, all at the same time. This is the nature of prophecy. It exists in a quantum state of truth and falsehood until observed, and even then, different observers will see different outcomes. But here's what we know for certain. Sylvia Browne's real gift may not have been seeing the future at all. It may have been understanding something fundamental about human nature, that we desperately want to believe our struggles have meaning, our futures hold promise, and our lives are unfolding according to some pattern we might glimpse if we look hard enough. She gave people that glimpse, real or imagined, whether her spirit guide Francine truly whispered secrets from the other side, whether Sylvia possessed genuine psychic abilities, or whether she was simply an extraordinarily perceptive woman who understood what people needed to hear. These questions may never be answered to everyone's satisfaction. What remains is the story, the legend, the possibility. And as February 2026 unfolds, as Sagittarians check their bank accounts and watch for signs, as believers and skeptics debate the outcome, Sylvia Browne's legacy continues, not as proof of the supernatural, but as evidence of something equally powerful, the human capacity to create meaning, to generate hope, and to shape our futures through the stories we tell about them. The first week of February will come and go. Life will continue. Some will claim the prediction came true. Others will say it failed. Most will move on to the next prophecy, the next promise, the next glimpse of what tomorrow might hold. And somewhere in that endless cycle of prediction and fulfillment, disappointment and renewed hope, we reveal something essential about what it means to be human. We are the creatures who cannot help but look ahead, who cannot stop ourselves from asking what comes next, who will always seek the oracle even knowing the oracle might be a mirror reflecting our own deepest desires back at us. Sylvia Browne understood this. Perhaps that was her real gift.